Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's October 25th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And just quickly looking at the daily chart, you can see that we're in very oversold territory. We closed not far off the high, but we definitely closed off the high. And so far, we've opened much lower and trading lower. Now, that doesn't mean anything. We're still in the overnight. We could end up trading much higher tomorrow. So we may get some follow through. We may have topped out here. I actually see two legs of correction here, and we could turn lower again because we're definitely getting into oversold territory here. So let's see what tomorrow brings. Right now, it's looking like we may trend down. But it's just hard to say. You can't tell much by what we've got so far during the overnight. But let's flip over to the intraday chart. You can see that there was a lot of sideways, but it was mostly sideways to up, and it was a bullish day. So there was a two-tiered channel up, but there was also a spiking channel up that did follow through. Um, so let's flip over there and we'll take a look at that chart and we'll go. Okay, here's a look at our 2000 tick chart. You can see we had the original two-tiered channel coming up. We got a break, couple of legs up, and it looked like maybe we might roll over. And then we continue to go higher. And you can see I drew this off these first couple of swings here. And then, of course, it came back and confirmed it here. And we got another bounce up here before we finally got a break. And then a break on this. And this is actually a spike and channel. This larger two-tiered blue channel here, the lighter blue. Of course, we got the break, moved to a new high, and then we sold off, and we actually gapped lower and selling off strongly. I'm not sure what's leading to that, but anyway, doesn't matter. It's just overnight, so I mean, I think we could come in trading 100 points higher by morning, so we'll see. But there it is. Let's zoom in. Not a lot of trades today. It was a little, I mean, what would happen when we'd get this big burst up, then we'd just kind of go sideways to up a little bit, then we'd get a burst up. And this is another little spiking channel inside this. Break, new high, and then that's when we got the break. So you need to draw these more micro trends and trend channels and so forth because it's going to help keep you on the right side of things and make sure you're on the right track. But try to do that. But here we are earlier. 7 o'clock came in this move down here. And you can see here that we bounced 3 times. You actually got a channel down, a break, and a new low. And then we tested that twice more. So you got at least a triple test. You do get a triple test here. You actually get a quadruple test. But the signal bar is not very good here, and it's right into the EMA. When we don't know for sure we're going to get through there. But on this first triple test bounce with this nice, let me zoom in a little more here for you. You can see it's a very nice bar. Just go long 1 tick above that. You got plenty of room back to the EMA. It's a second entry. Technically, it was a second entry when it broke above this bar, but these are both inside bars and it's got equal lows. So I'd treat that like a triple test and just take that long. I like it. Just as long as you got room back to the EMA there, because you see we didn't get through it. And that's the concern on this next bounce. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get through again, and then we do, and it comes back. And notice once it pushes through, it pulls back and tests it and then goes higher. If we'd got a break lower there, maybe you consider going long there, but it's just not there. And this thing just kind of takes off, and you don't really get a chance to do much with it. There's another triple test right here, but it's still inside this range, and maybe this is, I think this range is actually bigger. It looked like a measured move, but to me, I think it's just a two-tiered. It's just a little larger, and that's your midline right across there. And so there's not much room. This is an engulfing bar. You need to wait till it closes, and it doesn't close on its high. Maybe it closes in its top 2/3, but there's not much room there. I just don't think I mean, technically, it doesn't even break above it. It breaks above the inside bar, so there's no trade there anyway. So you just can't enter there. There's no trade. So we run on up. We do get a close outside right here. and move to a new high, and then we're trending down. And again, no entry here. It's just two sideways. I don't see anything. There is a second entry short right here. The signal bar is not very good. Maybe you could say, hey, it's a failure, but it's on the wrong side of the EMA for the most part. Um, I mean, maybe you take that trade. I might mark it green. This one you might argue to be green, but I'm not crazy about it. And then, of course, you bounce here, and that's when I drew this two-tiered, the darker blue one. I didn't draw actually I did draw that one too. I think I waited till we were kind of trending down here before I drew this one. I drew it before 9:30, but I don't remember exactly what time, and it talked about it then that we needed to confirm it to know if it was going to be valid or not. So anyway, we bounce here, you draw that trend line, it comes back, it confirms this darker blue two-tiered channel working up through here on this touch right here. And that's notice your new low, and you get a first entry, second entry. That's a nice reversal type pattern on a failed second entry. I like that one, and look how it takes off. That's a really nice move. It actually works back to the trend line here. No setup here, unfortunately. Works on up, get a break, new high, but you still have to be concerned about this trend line, and so I just don't see anything. This would have set up an entry. It doesn't trigger because it doesn't really confirm this channel, although I still think this channel is valid. And notice you do get a break here in a new low, but maybe this is a little steeper. Maybe I just don't quite have it drawn properly. I think that's maybe more like it right there. And you get your break here, move to a new low, and then it trends out of there. I don't know why. Sometimes these channels move around. I think if you don't get right on the end of the bar there or something, it has something to do with that. I'm not sure what causes those to move around as the day progresses and you zoom in and out. But it will kind of occasionally throw your channels off. So be aware of that. And here you've got a failure here, but it's just too much support. Drops on down. Now you get your break, move to a new low, as I said, and you're heading in the other direction. But I don't see a short I like here, and I don't see a long I like here either. You can see we're back and forth above and below the EMA, so that's a mixed trading. Even though we're still in an uptrend, that's very mixed. So you could probably trade that both ways depending on what you got, but I don't see anything here I like. I don't like going long. You're just kind of working sideways, and there's not any really good setups, and you finally I believe you make a new high right there. Let me just verify that. Just eyeballing it, I'm pretty sure we do, if I remember right. Yep. That's where you make your new high. And so this darker blue channel has played out right in here. Doesn't mean you still couldn't go higher, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, it's played out. And so now we just have to see if we're going to go lower or if this lighter blue on the spike where we spiked up and went into that channel is going to hold. And of course, it ends up holding here. But notice that we made that new high, we worked lower. Again, I don't see any short that I really like there. This is too sideways, and you see what happens. It just keeps going, but you finally get this. You actually get a triple test right here, but you're still inside that channel. But and then you get your close outside, and it tries to go lower twice and fails. And so I like going long right there on that multiple test of that with that nice bullish bar that closes just above the EMA. I like taking that trade if it breaks higher. And it runs up, you get a close outside, new high, and then you're working lower. And again, I don't see a chance to go short here really. There's a channel working down here, right here, that I didn't draw, but there's not much here. So, and notice you get a close outside, new low, and it bounces. But unfortunately, this is your signal bar, the bearish red bar, and so there's no entry there. And it does run up. You try to go there's technically it tried to go lower again right here, but that still looks like all one move. So I counted. This is what I think is really the failure that was probably going to take people in, but there is a failure right there. And maybe you take that one. I'd probably say just mark that green because it looks a little sideways, and this actually breaks lower and then turns up. But this closes really bullish. Um, so you might go long there. But to me, that just looks like one attempt to go lower. And technically, it even breaks higher right there and turns down. So, but still, it's all one move and then another move down. So I like that as a failure right there. And then we're just kind of chopping along. There's another triple test there. I didn't mark it, but it's another one that maybe you say, hey, it's right off the key entry point. You tried to go lower once, twice, three times. It's a fairly decent bar, so maybe you mark that one to give it green. But notice your new low, and this one's on the wrong spot here. Notice your new low, and you try to go lower once, twice, and it went higher right there. That's another failure. Get under this bar, please. There you go. But notice the new low, first entry, second entry. There's clearly two legs up there, and it bounces right off. That's what a failure looks like. So maybe you take that one. It's not an ideal setup, but maybe you take it. And that's technically a second entry right there, but that signal bar is not good enough. And runs up, and then finally you get a break of this. Again, this is a spike and channel right here. And you get a break. There's a second entry long right there. Again, the signal bar is not very good. And there's a higher low right here, but not a setup you can take. It's moved too far for a higher low, and it's not a failure or anything. And it makes its new high, and then it sells off. And that gives you the first break of the two-tiered channel on the spiking channel. Now notice what happens here. You're dropping down, you try to go higher once, twice. So there's a failure there, but that's not a place you really want to take a failure. And there was a second entry right there. The fact that we couldn't even get back to the midline, that this is played out, I would wait. I would wait before I try to get long in here. So, and there's also a shorter term channel working down through there. And so that could have actually led some people to think, hey, this is played out. You got your break and new low, and it is a second entry. So if you got burned there's not much more I can tell you. I mean, you can see it. It's kind of congested there too. All of this is inside of this bar, except for this one, and it's all outside that bar. But it definitely looks congested there. And so, I mean, you got to be careful right there. I mean, even if you look at it congested, I guess there's probably still enough room, so you still could get tricked. Now, there's only a 0.5 ticks there, so you would have got burned on that one. So that's enough reason to stay out of it, really. But it just kind of continues to work lower until we get a break, two legs down here. And I like this one just because you got your first leg down, and then you come up and you get a first entry, and then it turns back up, and when it comes back down, it's a second entry short. And you could even wait and go short right here. You might take that one on the engulfing bar, because I guarantee you the break higher right there is going to trap some people. And that turns out to be a pretty nice move. Let's see how close they are to a measured move. And it's really a perfect measured move almost. So that's a nice move down. And then notice you make your new low. You make a first entry, and then you pull up and you make a second entry short that fails. So when it breaks higher right there, that's a failure. And you can see how it rockets up real quick. And that's a nice trap. It does run back down again. Kind of chops sideways to slightly up and then takes off here. I don't see any reason there. You could say, hey, there's a failure right here. Notice that there's a first entry and there's a second entry. So if it breaks higher there is a failure. So I like that one. And because you're still looking for the retest of the high on the spiking channel on this lighter blue tier channel, this one, this 2-tier channel here. So you're still looking for the high. Unfortunately, it makes a nice quick move, but it doesn't go all the way and it comes back and drops around. But as I was saying, there's a failure right here. So maybe you take that, but it just looks really, it's a lot of congestion there. It's a little risky in my opinion. But maybe you take that because this is pretty bullish. And it's 3 attempts to go lower, and it does close above the EMA there. And you can see it. Turns out to be a fairly nice move, but I'm gonna leave it green. You get your break, couple legs up, and then you got one coming down. You get your close outside, new low, but unfortunately no setup here really to go long. It's just too congested. It's all below the EMA. Runs up, tries to go lower once, twice, and fails. And so then there's a second entry long there too. So that's a failed second entry short and a second entry long right there. And you can see all the stems trying to take it lower and it fails, and then it just rockets up. This one's a little late in the day, and there is a little bit of congestion there. Although what's happening is people are selling and the buyers are just too strong, and they bring it back every time before the buyers finally overtake them and take it up. That turns out to be a pretty good move there. So if you took that one, it was worth it. But it's a little late in the day, and again, if you look at it, it's a little congested. So, but you can also see there's probably a triple test there. So that's another reason you can clearly see the support across there. So more reasons to take that trade. But there it is, spiking channel up, break, new high, and then we sold off. Perfect price action almost, although it's a little convoluted with this early channel that turns into a spiking channel with the flatter channel there. And you'll see that a lot. This is way too steep and too strong. You're not going to maintain that all day most likely. So a lot of times you'll get a break and a new high on that and a little bit of correction, and then you'll find out there's a flatter channel that comes into play, and sometimes it'll be a spiking channel like this one was. So hopefully that's clear. But anyway, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Be interesting to see if we're going to sell off now or if they can muster up some more buying and take it a little higher. We'll just have to see. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.